Hello and welcome to Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC, a weekly podcast and YouTube channel discussing everything Wrexham from the point of view of long-term fans and brand new fans like my wife. So sit back, put your feet up, relax and let's get stuck in.
Hello and welcome back to episode 56 of a very tired Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC podcast.
Yeah, so we got back from Ibiza at 3 o'clock this morning-ish, give or take. A couple of minutes here and there. Said hello to the dog, give the dog a fuss, and then went to bed and got up really early this morning.
I would just like to say, because that sounded like we'd left her here all on her own.
Oh yeah, we haven't, no.
She was with my parents all week, so before any dog activists come at us.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, very tired, very tired, but we will plough on all the same. So we'll start this week with, what shall we start with? I think we'll probably start with the MK Dons game, shall we?
If we must.
So lots of build-up, lots of excitement. We had Rob and Ryan both at the game.
And Hugh Jackman.
With a very special friend, yes. Hugh Jackman came down as well. Lots of anticipation from the fans. Didn't quite go to plan for us, really, did it? So for anybody who doesn't know, we lost the game 5-3. What were your thoughts on the game?
I thought it was quite poor, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just didn't see it. It kind of took me back to, not last season, obviously, but the season before.
Yeah.
Where we were quite, as you would say, pedestrian.
Yes.
And yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was just a bit of a nothing game. And it's just, I know we're in League Two now. I know it's going to be a whole different ball game, literally. But
not literally.
Well, not literally, because it's still football.
It's the same ball game.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think we were right to believe that it was going to be tougher than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be, I'm not saying that the National League was an easy ride, because obviously we've been there 15 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought, I was expecting a little bit more.
I think it was one of them really where there was a lot of, like I said, a lot of expectation, but we're used to the big occasion. We've had big games. We've
been spoiled.
But we've had teams gunning for us. We've been we had the Bournemouth game. We had the Notts County game. We've had big games. Sheffield United, Coventry. That we've had eyes on us.
But there was no expectation in those big games. But in the Coventry game, the Sheffield game, there wasn't really any expectation.
But the Notts County game and the games that came later on when we were on National League TV, not National League TV, we were on sort of like BT Sport. What felt like week after week. There was this expectation which I felt the players have been through and have dealt with that before.
Yeah.
But it felt a little bit all over the shop. Like it was very fast paced. It felt a bit more like a sort of cup game than it did a league game where everyone was just all over the place. There was no sort of composure on the ball. It didn't feel right to me.
Do you think that was because Paul Mullen wasn't there?
No,
I know. Obviously, Paul Mullen is just one man.
Yeah.
And they're a team, not just the league doesn't rely on just one person in a team, does it? Do
you think? What are you saying? That we talked about this, the mental effect that a big player like that going out, would it have a positive effect where they all sort of band together, or a negative effect where they sort of panic a little bit? Is that what you mean? Maybe it had more of a detrimental effect than we thought it might.
Because obviously the last episode that we did, we discussed this very situation, and I was quite positive. I thought, you know what, they're gonna, because we saw it when obviously Paul Mullen went off at the friendly game in San Diego. No, the Philadelphia game, wasn't it?
San Diego. Yeah, you were right first time.
They kind of came together. They did what they needed to do. but it didn't. I don't know. It just seemed a bit.
It felt a bit off.
Discombobulated yesterday. I know, big word, considering I'm absolutely shattered.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't seem. I mean, it improved obviously when I believe it improved when Ollie. I mean, obviously it didn't improve massively because we still lost. But you know, when Ollie Palmer came on, Jordan Davis came on. I believe that it kind of got that little bit better. And you know, there was a few chances when they came on, and it just felt like they just couldn't follow through.
Couldn't. Yeah. I mean, you know, we went 1-0 down. The Owen O'Connell own goal. I don't know. I said goal then. Owen O'Connell, own goal. But the own goal, I don't know what was going on there. He went for a header that, let's be honest, there was no one behind it. He didn't need to go for that. But he doesn't necessarily know what's behind him. That's for Ben Foster to communicate to him. You can leave that.
Leave it.
You know, you need get it away.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened there, but for me, looking at it a few times, he doesn't need to go for that ball. He does, and you know, all right, you're 1-0 down. You reset and you go again.
Yeah.
4 minutes later, well, not even 4 minutes later, a couple of minutes after that, they hit the post. And you're thinking, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And then a couple of minutes after that, we're 10 minutes in, we're 2-0 down. I've got to be honest, I think it was Mo Issa scored the second one. It was a great goal. But
he's a good player, to be fair.
Great goal from him. But my question is, when you look at the replays, he's got so many players around him. He should, you know, for a player to pull off a piece of skill and beat one man, two men, at a push, 3 men.
Yeah.
He had like 6 men round him. And I just don't know how it ended up where it ended up. But yeah, it just seemed we started to get a little bit of a foothold in the game. I thought Ryan Barnett was excellent down the right-hand side. I think a lot of the good stuff that we produced came down his side. And, you know, we pulled one back not long before half-time. Mendy.
First goal of the season.
Which, obviously, I know Mendy's down the left. It came from that right-hand side again. It was a Barnett cross. And, you know, I felt at that point that that we were maybe getting back into this. Maybe we could
pull it back.
We were talking to some friends and we said, you know, 3-2. We're looking like a 3-2 here. And I think you just got to hold on there and get to halftime, which they did, and they did really well. You know, they dug in, kept it at 2-1, and I felt like, right, we can reset now and we can come out in the second half and we can push on. But it just didn't happen. It didn't happen, and you know, the MK Dons have got Lecco. I can't remember his first name off the top of my head now. They've got Lecco. He looks such a good player, but
we should buy him.
Yeah. But I think we made every one of them look better than they were.
Yeah.
Defensively, 2 of the goals where we just backed off and let them run for 40, 50 yards with a ball. And it just looked like somebody get in there, close him down, and just put a tackle in. They're miles away. Even if you foul them, it doesn't matter. We'll just, you know, we can then reset again and, you know, defend a free kick, whatever it may be. To let them run and run and run. I think it was their 3rd goal, perhaps, and their 5th goal. I am very tired, so apologies I'm getting them in the wrong order, but there's so bloody many of them that I'm sort of struggling. You know, where we just backed off. Come on, run at us. And they did. And they had shots from, you know, where they were. What do you think about Ben Foster in these goals? Were you sort of like, look, they were in the corner, they were, you know, it is what it is?
I was a little bit disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one goal. You could see the frustration in his face, but you thought, surely you could have saved that.
Bit flat-footed at times, maybe.
Yeah, it just seemed like he was just, you know, not just Ben Foster, but the whole team seemed like their head wasn't in the game.
Wasn't. Defensively, how did you find the defensive display, or was there not one?
I think that's an argument, isn't it? I'm not sure about the defence.
Yeah. I think my biggest argument, and again, apologies to everyone listening who feel like we are just going over old ground here. But the amount of centre-backs that we have in that team, and we are insistent on playing Tom O'Connor in defence again.
Yeah.
Look, he's a very versatile player. He can play in a few different positions. He's done very well for us in the past, playing at centre-back. But that was in the National League. That's
a whole different...
We're in a completely different competition now.
Yeah.
And it sort of, does it concern me a little bit? What was the insistence in playing him there? Now, Aaron Hayden's coming back from injury.
Bizarre.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
He's coming back from injury. Maybe he hasn't got the minutes under his belt that Parky feels like he needs, to play a full 90. Okay, that's
fine.
Bring him
on later then.
Well, yeah, he was on the bench. He's fit enough to be on the bench. We didn't see him at all. We've signed Will Boyle. He was fit enough to play in a few of their friendlies.
Everyone was.
He played half the game a few times.
Yep.
Looked good to me. I didn't see any issue with him. Jordan, we know's out. Jordan Tunnicliffe, we know he's out at the moment. We've got Max Cleworth, who was nowhere near that team yesterday, who's done a job for us before. And yeah, again, you can sort of say National League level. But, we saw him against, teams like Sheffield United and Coventry. He definitely held his own.
Yeah.
There's no problem. And I worry about, why are we repeatedly putting Tom O'Connor in this position where he's playing out of position? We know where he plays his best football. In the second half, we sort of reverted to a slightly different formation, and Tom moved into the middle. But I don't know. It baffled me. It did baffle me. We were getting a lot of long throws. Tozer had a lot of long throws into the box. Didn't really do anything with them. There was nothing on the end of them, and you're sort of looking, going, we're lacking a bit of height in there. There's somebody to get on the end of one of them crosses, and you've got Hayden sitting on the bench. You're going, right, let's get him, even if it's the last half, something where we're going to start getting, if you're going to get corners, you're going to get these throw-ins, we need someone in there who's going to be able to get on the end of them. Sort of felt like we were waiting for it to drop down and hopefully someone else. Do you think our team's too small after what we saw yesterday? Height-wise.
Height-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was I looking at? I was looking at, I think it was Cannon.
Yeah.
Compared to who he was like up against.
Yeah.
He looked minute.
The big team, they were a big team though. MK Dons. I'll say that they were a big team. Height-wise, yes. But I don't know. I think I was just grasping at straws a little bit. I'm not massively concerned.
It's the first game of the season. I remember saying this last season.
Yeah.
I think it was like the second game of the season. Everybody was going, doing their little moans.
Well, weirdly, you say that. I think our episode 2 of the podcast was called, I think it was Calm Down, It's Only the Second Game. And I think...
I'm not sure we can do that again. No. Calm down, it's just the first game.
Yeah. But, I think this league's different. We're only going to win, if we do really well, we're only going to win half our games. Look what the bookies put out there. We're the favourites. Stockport are the second favourites. Notts County are the third favourites.
And we all lost.
All three of us lost yesterday.
Notts County obviously conceding the same amount of goals as we did.
Yeah. I know, they conceded 5. We conceded 5. Stockport lost at home. They only lost 1-0. But, the 3 supposed favourites for the league, and we've conceded a combined total of 11 goals, between the 3 of us.
Yeah, it was a bit of an anticlimax game.
It was. Look, am I concerned.
No.
Not massively, because I don't think that is the defensive showing that we're going to show week in, week out.
Mm-hmm.
If that is the defensive showing we're going to put on every week, we are in trouble. But I don't believe that is how it's going to go for us every single week.
It goes back to the thing, doesn't it? We, in Parky we trust. There's he's obviously got something going around in his head that he's just trying to work. He's been in the EFL before.
Yeah.
He's made champions of teams before.
Yeah.
So it's, like I said, in Parky we trust. We have to trust his, him and his coaches. We have to kind of just trust in him and see. But as it's the first game. We're just going to have to wait and see. We've still got another 45 games.
Yeah, we've got a long way to go.
We have. It's the first game. Let's just,
everyone just chill out. It's fine.
I think because of the adulation and everything that we had on the last, it was the penultimate game of the season, wasn't it? Because obviously they played Torquay last. But, because of that day, everybody was like, oh, do you know what? We've got an amazing team. We're going to go, that first game in season 23-24, we're going to smash it, But I just think it was a massive reality check, I think, for a lot of fans.
I think so. And I think, it just goes to show you've got to be on it.
Yeah.
And here's a question before we move on to something else.
Yes.
A lot of teams out there played a lot of friendlies. A lot of teams played more friendlies than we did, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Pre-season. A lot of teams also would have played at least half of their friendlies at their own ground, in front of their own, with a lot of fans.
Yeah.
The way that we've done our pre-season, do you think at all any slight concern that has been detrimental to the team? Look, it's way too early to. If we're 10 games in and we're having this conversation, it's different, and we're 1 game in. But do you think potentially it might have had a detrimental effect on the team?
Possibly. There's things going around. They could still, the jet lag hasn't quite cleared. They're obviously concerned about Paul Mullen. I just think. I don't think it will have a detrimental effect on the season, but maybe it had a detrimental effect on the game that we played on Saturday.
Yeah. I think it's a time will tell thing, won't it? Because I look at sort of previous people that have been promoted. I've a little bit on the podcast, but a lot between us and with friends. I've talked about Stockport.
Mm-hmm.
Stockport last season, they're a good yardstick, I think, for us to look at and just to see how a promoted team develops through the season. Stockport picked us to promotion the season before last. They went into League Two very buoyant. They played really well during the season. And then for the first 10 to 15 games, they were poor. They were really poor. And, they were struggling to find their feet in a new league, regardless how good you are, regardless how many players you've got that have played in the EFL before. It's a completely different kettle of fish.
Mm-hmm.
And it took them that little bit of time to find their feet. Come the end of the season, they finished 4th. They just missed out on automatic promotion. They ended up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So we have a long, long season ahead of us, and we have nothing to panic about, I don't think.
No, but people were. It was all...
Yeah.
We actually, because obviously we were watching in Ibiza, and we turned off all our, social notifications because we didn't want to... Because obviously there was a little bit of a lag, wasn't there? So obviously the game was...
Just a quick one. Just want to say thank you very much to a few of our friends who helped us watch the game while we were in Ibiza. We're not going to mention who it was and all that sort of stuff, but thank you very much for helping us watch the game. It was much appreciated.
Yeah, it was fun watching it with them as well, wasn't it?
Yes.
So, yeah, what was I saying before you really interrupted?
I don't know. I don't know where you were at, to be honest. I just thought it was important to say that.
Oh, yeah, very important. But, I don't know what I was going to say.
Oh, never mind. We've got... Look, we're going to continue to have guests on the podcast.
Yes.
We're not doing the fan forums because the season started. As you can see, we've got a lot of games and stuff to talk about, but we do want to still hear from fans.
Yeah.
So there's somebody that we wanted to get on for a different reason, and because of that, we thought they would be a really good first guest to have on after the start of this. Two birds, one stone, and you'll see why in a minute while we'll have a little chat. So we just want to welcome to the show, Steve. Welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you for the welcome. Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. Excited. Thanks for inviting me.
Not a problem at all. Now, for everybody listening and watching, Steve actually runs Dragon Chat. Now, we talk about Dragon Chat every week, and we thought it'd be a really good idea to get Steve on to talk about Dragon Chat with you guys, basically, and let you know all about it. But before we do that, another reason that we've got Steve on, we wanted to have a little chat about the MK Dons game. So, Steve, let's start with that. What did you make of the game?
Well, I thought it was a good game of football between two good sides. I thought we were, well beaten in the end, to be fair. But, there's some positives to take out of it. But, I thought their two centre-forwards looked very good. I thought defensively we weren't quite as sharp as what we could be. And I don't think midfield worked as well as what it could do either. But, again, work in progress, first game of the season, another 45 to go. It's still all to play for, isn't it?
Was there anything in the game, after watching that first game, was there anything sort of glaringly obvious that you thought, oh no, this is a worry, and not just a worry for this game, but maybe a worry longer term into the season? Or is it just one of them things, first game of the season, that we can just shrug off and move on?
Yeah, I think, and I guess the manager will be the same, to concede 5 goals at home. You never want to concede 5 goals. It was a couple of the goals was sloppy, again, caught in possession in midfield, and then teams broke on us quickly. I think Chelsea scored a couple of goals like that against us as well. And that's kind of how the goal, I think, from Philadelphia Union come about, which led to the free kick. So I think that's something we've got to learn. The players have got to learn. They've got to adapt quicker. That teams are going to close you down a little bit quicker. We're at a higher standard now. So yeah, it will be a little bit more tricky for us. But yeah, any team, when you concede 5 goals, it's not the best, and that's what's got to be a little bit of a concern, I guess, for the manager. But I'm pretty sure he'll get it sorted. We've got some good quality defenders in there, haven't we, as well? And we've still got some good defenders to come back in Boyle and Tunnicliffe as well. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It shouldn't be a problem.
You touched on it there with, Max wasn't anywhere to be seen in the team. And we had Aaron Hayden was sat on the bench. Will Boyle, we saw him a couple of times in the pre-seasons, as we talked about. What's your thoughts on continuing to put Tom O'Connor in a defensive position?
I think it's an interesting one. I think, you could argue that Tom O'Connor's, when he went into the midfield, was absolutely outstanding for us. Although he can do a really good job at that left centre half position. I think if we've got players who are comfortable on that left side and can play in that position, they're the more specialist players. So maybe they should be playing in that area as opposed to Tom, and allowing Tom O'Connor in that midfield for us to dictate what he does and what he does best, really, in the midfield for us. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, there's reasons behind, why he wanted a left-hand side. He must have wanted someone with a left foot to play on that side of it. But yeah, it seems a bit of a strange one when you've got specialist centre halves not playing.
Here's a question for you then. We've got all our centre halves are fit. Who's your starting 3?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. For me, Hayden would be in. purely and simply because of his pace. I think he's got a little bit more pace than perhaps a couple of the others would have in there. Boyle has come from the Championship. You would imagine he would be your left hand side midfield player. I'm guessing it would be Tozer in the middle for his leadership and what he brings you for his set on the set plays. But that would be, again, not easy. Harsh on O'Connell, who again is another excellent centre half and a really good passer of the ball out from defence. So yeah, it's a lovely choice to have, but not an easy choice to have. You've got 6 absolutely brilliant defenders there, including Max as well, who I thought was excellent last year when he come in and played all those games for us. So yeah, it's a very, very tough one though. But yeah, probably Boyle, Hayden, Tozer for me.
Well, how do you think it's going to go this season? We've had a bit of a hiccup to start. Where can you see us finishing up?
Interestingly, it's only one game gone, and I'm going to make a really bold statement now. But I think if we finish above MK Dons, we'll be in the promotion area. We'll get promoted, which I know is bold at this stage. Well, let's put it like this then. I put a caveat on that. If we finish above MK Dons and they're in the bottom 2, I think we're in trouble this season, aren't we? If that makes a little bit of sense. But I do think they'll be right up there. Come the end of the season, we will be up there. But I would not be surprised if we're sort of mid-table after 15 games, won 5, drawn 5, lost 5 sort of record, just while we're building into the season, getting used to things and that. I think we will grow into the season and we will get stronger as the season goes along.
Yeah, I'm with that. I think I'd be more than happy with 1 5, drawn 5, lost 5. I think after 15, and then really push on from there. I think.
Or just push on from the beginning.
From now.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one because I think if when I look at not that we've seen that many Wrexham sides get promotion over the years, but historically those sort of 92, 93, the 2002-3, we were very kind of average up till sort of Christmas, and then it was Christmas onwards, New Year onwards, we kind of really kicked into gear, and that's where we put the foot on the accelerator, and that's what got us the promotion. So yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be one of those seasons again. Obviously, Sean, it goes without saying, I would love now for us to win the next 45. It would be so much easier, wouldn't it? Let's just win the next 45 games, But yeah, it's. I think the standard's going to be better. It's going to be harder to win. Certainly, I think away from home is going to be harder. And I think teams are pretty well organised, and hopefully teams haven't got 2 centre forwards like MK Dons 2 centre forwards who I thought were excellent.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll come up against that sort of calibre again.
Yes, I'm sure we will. Steve, moving on from the football, let's put that to bed for a minute. Now, the other thing we wanted to talk to you about is obviously Dragon Chat, which you run. We try and promote it as much as we can on the show. For anybody who's not aware of what Dragon Chat is, do you want to explain to them what it's all about?
Yeah, so it's peer support, men's peer support, mental health group. We do a lot of talk about Wrexham in there, but we give everybody the opportunity to talk about anything that's concerning them. We always ask them first off, what's been good in the week, and that can be anything. It can be ranging just from someone who's just got out of bed for a day, and just managed to do that for one day. That's enough for some people, isn't it? To, I've had a great day because, something really good's happened. I've got a new job, etc. So, that gives them the chance. We give everybody the chance then, as I said, to get anything off the chest, which they need to get off. That can be anything from someone parking in front of the drive when it's hammering down with rain and they can't get the shopping in, which it's those little things which can feed into a bigger thing, or it can be a more bigger thing that's going on for them, which can be difficult. And we don't judge people. We give them the support within the group, and just it gives people a safe place to just talk as much as anything and allow them to kind of express their feelings, because we know that stereotypically men do find it a lot more difficult to open up and a lot more difficult to talk. And if this platform allows people just to have that sort of chance to speak about everyday things which are going on for them, that's just exactly what we want. And then we do a lot of Wrexham talk as well.
I think the reason why we decided to talk about Dragon Chat every week on our podcast is because mental health is a big thing for us, isn't it? Obviously, I don't hope you don't mind me saying this, but Ryan's suffered from mental health previously, and it had a massive impact on our lives. But you've kind of, come through the other end.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a massive thing, and to get men speaking about mental health, it's just it's such a massive thing. It's got, it's so taboo. I mean, it's less taboo now, I think.
It is, but it's still a struggle to get people to open up. I would say it's better than it was, but is it anywhere near where it should be? No, not at all. I would say, it's there's definitely, things like, what Steve does with Dragon Chat is brilliant and definitely helps, move it on. But, I'm sure, Steve, better than most that you will still have people in this day and age who are sort of, very tentative about coming along and speaking about, problems they've got.
Absolutely. I think as well, an online platform can be quite scary because you're kind of pressing the button, you don't really know anybody. And what we try to do is try to put everybody at ease who comes on. And again, a lot of the talk as well, it'd be a lot of Wrexham talk, a lot of chat. And I think that's the beauty of Dragon Chat, is that we've all got that common interest. Everybody who comes on to Dragon Chat has got that common interest of Wrexham Football Club. And I think as you go on and sort of friendships build and your relationships build within the group, I think it becomes then easier for you to talk about some of the other issues which go on. So it's not sort of like when you come on, there's no expectation for anybody when they come on. You don't have to talk about how you're feeling. It's the opportunities there to do that, but there's no expectation for you to do that. You can come to meetings, listen to the football chat. You don't have to have your camera on if you don't want to. You can just come along and listen to what everybody's saying and talking, and hopefully within time you feel confident to engage within with people who actually we're all kind of quite like-minded. We all like the football, and that side of thing. So we do it quite an informal way. I think that it's there if you want to, but equally as well, just encourage people, if they just want to come and talk about Wrexham and just kind of socialise, if you like, about the team, please feel free to come along and with that, because what we know about mental health, I think it's an interesting one when we talk about mental health, because everybody has mental health, but I think a lot of the time when we talk about mental health, the perception we go on to is mental illness. And I think that you do have people who have a severe depression or can experience real severe anxiety, and even you're more sort of long-term kind of mental health conditions as well. But what we try to do is that hopefully with Dragon Chat, it helps us promote our mental health, where we kind of get out, we talk, we meet with people, we're doing all the things that we know really helps our mental health, but and connect the connection of it and talking, because when we look back at COVID, I still honestly believe that we're still living post-COVID has kind of changed people's lives. I think there's a lot more anxiety, a lot more stress. People feel, I think, a bit more stressed all round because of that period of time. And I do think it's going to take time for that. And it's just providing those opportunities and spaces for people to talk, I think, are just, invaluable.
Yeah. And we had a little chat beforehand, and you mentioned that you've got something going on in the miners. Is that right?
Yeah. So in the miners welfare rescue, which is on My Squin Road. So every Saturday before home games, we normally get in there for around about 1 o'clock. We've got a room there. George is fantastic. There's going to be a special room for us in the back by all accounts, and we're going to be able to put some Wrexham stuff up there, so we're going to be able to kind of make it kind of quite Wrexhamified, which will be fantastic. There's a cafe there. There's you can get drinks there and everything else. So it's just going to be a nice, safe place for anybody who wants to come, who perhaps doesn't want to go to a pub to socialise. Just gives people a chance to come along to a game and to kind of come and socialise with a load of other Wrexham fans and have a chat before the game. It's about that connection, isn't it, really? And anybody who sort of feels a little bit worried about going to a game on their own, there's always a gang of us in there who you can kind of come and have a chat with. And we normally ask questions like you did to me there with the, which 3 centre halves would you have? Because I think they're brilliant questions, because you can debate that for forever and ever, isn't it? They're fantastic things to do.
Yeah. Well, anyone wants to know any more about Dragon Chat, there's a link down in the description to get on their weekly call on a Thursday. Just search Steve Lloyd on Twitter as well. Steve's on there. He can answer any questions that you might have. If you're struggling to find Steve on Twitter, get in touch with us. We can point you in the right direction. We can help you out as much as we can. But Steve, thank you very much for coming on the show this week. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
And thanks for inviting me, and thanks for your support over the course of your podcast as well. Just over 12 months now, isn't it? What episode are we on now?
And this is episode 56 we're on now.
Yeah.
56. Wow, which is fantastic. But and every week, thank you for your support, and thank you for shouting out Dragon Chat. And just anybody wants to come along, please come along. You're more than welcome.
Yeah, totally. I would highly recommend it to anybody who wants to go on. Fabulous service. It is amazing. So as I say, thanks to Steve, we will move on. So this week, last week, where are we? We signed James McLean.
We did.
So James McLean's it was undisclosed fee, but it's been reported about $250,000. 250,000.
Yeah.
He's a winger, although more recently he has played as a left wing back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last season he played all 46 games for Wigan, even at the ripe old age of 34. He always says he's the most hated player in England. He does have some controversies with regarding wearing a poppy on his shirt. We're not going to delve too much into that on this podcast. Keep it nice and light-hearted, I think, here. But he does have some controversies outside of football. Not always coming from him, but from other people directed at him because of certain beliefs, etc., that he might have. I think he's definitely a player that I would describe, knowing him the way I do and seeing him, that is, he's very much a player that you would hate to play against, but you'd quite like him in your team.
Yeah.
He's a bit of one of them horrible players. Just a little bit of disclosure before I ask Sian a question. We've been on the Wigan Athletic podcast this morning. We had a little chat with them with regards to, obviously our upcoming game with Wigan, with regards to James McLean. There is, I will link their Twitter down in the description on the YouTube video, so you can go and check that out. When the podcast is live, we'll send some stuff out on our socials. And we spoke about James McLean on there. He was very complimentary about him.
Yeah, he was.
With regards to everything that you've heard and that you've seen, good signing? That was a question, by the way.
Thanks for clarifying that. What, like you said, what you've heard, what we've heard, what we've seen, I think, it's an excellent signing, I think, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think obviously because you do hear stories, controversial stories, like you mentioned, you kind of think, is that what we want for our club? But I think after speaking to the guys on the Wigan Athletic podcast, I think a lot of it is hearsay, it's media kind of propaganda and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's up to us as Wrexham fans to make our own decision, not listening to all the crap that the media spout out, because let's face it, they do spout out some crap.
Yeah.
So I think it's a wait and see thing. I think it's a good signing. I think he'll be good with the team with his experience. So yeah, I'm excited to see him play. To be honest, it's it's one of them, isn't it?
Yeah, he is. I learned something today that they've sort of, while we were talking to the Wigan guys, that he can play in quite a few different positions. Predominantly down the left.
Mm-hmm.
He's played as a winger when he was a little bit younger. Left wing back. He's played in central midfield. He has played up front through the middle as well. So we can use him.
He's a utility player.
Hey, you've learned something from what we said before. Yeah, very much so though. And I wouldn't be concerned about his age, because as I say, he played all the games for them last season.
Yeah.
And I think he's got plenty left in the tank. And I think it will be a good signing for us. We're making some sort of statement signings. That's two. Yeah, okay, Wigan went down last season, but last season they were a championship club.
Mm-hmm.
And the two players that we've brought in have both been from championship teams. So I think we're definitely pushing on in the right direction with signings. Do you think we'll bring in anyone else?
I don't know.
Sorry.
I think we had this discussion yesterday, didn't we?
A little bit.
Well,
yeah.
on Saturday after watching the game.
Yeah.
About any more signings. Possibly.
Yeah.
There may be a few more, places that we could kind of fill if needed. So maybe one, maybe two, maybe none. I don't know. I don't know.
Don't know.
The club keep.
The short answer to that is
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. The club keep it very close to their chest, don't they? Until we
do.
need to know. So we'll wait and see on that one.
Touching on that, we're playing Wigan on Tuesday.
We are.
Carabao Cup. So that's the League Cup for anybody who's not aware. Just a few stats of sort of. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, first round is separated into North and South. So we're in the North.
Yeah.
Just for the first round, that is. That's why we're playing a northern team.
Is it right? Sorry that I'll interrupt. Is it right that we don't? It's literally 90 minutes.
Yes.
Whoever, if it's a draw, goes straight to penalties. No extra time. Nothing. Literally.
Correct.
There's 90 minutes penalties.
No replays. No extra time. It's a draw. It goes.
I like that.
Yeah, I do. As I say, we talk a little bit more in depth about this on the Progress with Unity podcast as well, which is the Wigan Athletic one. So we sort of talk about that on there as well, about how it's just it's a case of it's just a nice quick cup competition, and it's an opportunity to get some minutes into some legs, I would say.
Yeah, it's like a glorified friendly.
Yes.
With a cup at the end.
Yes. Yeah. So Wigan are in League One. They were relegated from the Championship last season. They finished bottom with 39 points, and they only scored 38 goals as well. We last played in February 2002, and we won that 2-0. We won the last 3 competitive games against them. They've obviously had their own troubles at Wigan. They've had 17 players leave the club. 2 loans who've returned to their parent clubs, 6 released and 9 transfers away, including our rumoured target, Max Power. Do you remember talking about Max Power?
Max Power.
He's gone to Saudi Arabia, to a second division Saudi Arabian team. They brought in 7 players, predominantly quite young players as well.
Yeah.
Prediction.
Oh, we got asked this today, didn't we? So I'm going to stick to the same prediction. I think 1-0.
1-0 to Wrexham. I'm going to go for 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of a frantic 2-2, I think. I think there's goals in this game, definitely.
Yeah.
2-2 to penalties, and then who knows what happens when we get to the...
You could be the best player in the world, but penalties is one of the luck of the draw, isn't it?
It is. So moving on from the Wigan game, we've got AFC Wimbledon.
We have.
So we played MK Dons. Now we're playing AFC Wimbledon, who are obviously...
Let's get all the big ones away first.
I don't think AFC Wimbledon...
No?
Well,
yeah.
It's the second league game of the season. They're 195 miles away. They're the southwest of London. It's 4.5 hours, because I put that in because I know you always like to know how far. It's their first game was away to Grimsby. They finished last season 21st in League Two.
Yeah.
They were 48 points from 46 games, scoring 48 goals in total. They only finished 5 points above the relegation zone. So they played quite a few pre-season friendlies.
Yeah.
They played Reading, which they won 2-1 at home. The Met Police, they played.
Really?
Yeah, they
Wow.
beat them 4-0 away, but ish. They played Woking away and they drew 0-0. They played QPR at home, which they drew 1-1. And then they beat Portsmouth 1-0 at home and Wealdstone 2-0 away. So they've had a pretty successful... they haven't lost any of their pre-season games. So, they've done all right, to be perfectly honest. They played 6 pre-season games, which is obviously 2 more than we did. And in amongst that, they've played 3 home games. I'm not going to go into that, but yeah. So the away allocation for the game is sold out at Plough Lane, or the Cherry Red Record Stadium, as it's called, for sponsorship reasons.
Yeah.
They're managed by Johnny Jackson, who's a former player, and he's quite a young manager. He's only 40. He's coming in with his newfangled ideas, maybe. No, I'm joking, but yeah. So the top scorer last season was Ethan Chislett, and he got 11 in 47. Although, I can't get through an episode without going, they'd signed a player called Ali Al-Hamadi in January, and he was second, but he scored 10 in 20. So he's obviously got a much better goals per game ratio than Ethan Chislett, but Ethan Chislett scored 1 more than him. So he's Ali Al-Hamadi was a goal in every 2 games.
Pretty good.
Ethan Chislett is a goal in 1 in 4, sort of average, give or take. Quick maths. What's your prediction? Are you worried about the game? Are you more worried? It's our first away game, so you're always a little bit unsure about your first away game in a new league, all that sort of thing. Are you now more worried based on what happened on Saturday?
I think I am and I'm not.
Yeah.
I think the game against MK Dons, that's gone. That's we move forward, we learn and we move.
We learn and we
move. I don't know what to expect, to be honest.
Yeah.
Hopefully the game on Saturday against MK Dons has kind of given the lads a kick up the bum.
Yeah.
And thought, do you know what? Right, let's go out there and let's give it our all. Not saying they didn't give it their all.
They didn't. I don't think they did.
No, they didn't.
I don't think you're talking out of turn. I don't think anybody could have looked at their performance on Saturday and went, do you know what?
I played really well.
I give my all. I think if anybody, I know we're going a little bit backwards, but maybe Jordan Davis, when he came on, I thought he was very good. I thought Ryan Barnett was very good.
Ollie Palmer.
Yeah, again, my one. Why are we talking about MK Dons again? But my one issue with Ollie is I think he does go down a bit too easy. That's my worry about him. He's a big lad. I think he should be just using some more of his muscle as opposed to just he does end up on the floor a little bit too much for me. But anyway.
He's obviously before he signed for Wrexham, his team was AFC Wimbledon.
Yeah, he's an
AFC Wimbledon fan.
He is.
How do you think that's going to play out on the pitch next Saturday?
I think you want to beat him. I think it makes you want to beat them more.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to go, I support these, I'm going easy on them. I think it gives you an extra impetus to... And do football players really, do they support other clubs when they're playing?
Think it's very difficult.
It's an odd one, isn't it?
It is an odd one, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think we did really well to prize him away from Wimbledon. Because I think that was. I'm pretty sure I might be talking out of turn here, but I think Ollie's granddad played for Wimbledon. Wimbledon, who then went on to become MK Dons, is what I mean.
The proper Wimbledon.
Yeah, we have now gone, and AFC Wimbledon have come, and so any proper Wimbledon fans are now AFC Wimbledon fans, basically. So I think Ollie is an AFC Wimbledon fan, and I'm sure his granddad used to play.
You can argue though, can't you? If he was that much of an avid fan, he probably wouldn't. He would have stayed there.
Not necessarily. It's a lot of it. Players do have power these days, but at the end of the day, you belong to the club, don't you? And if they're going, look, we just want you to go.
Okay.
But if they do, and they want you to go, and you're not really going to get the minutes that you want.
Yeah.
Why are you staying? Do you know what I mean?
True.
Especially when you got a year left in your contract, when but they've told me that in 12 months they're just going to release me anyway.
Yeah.
Take the move when it's available.
I guess.
I guess. So, have we done predictions? What's your prediction?
Mine was. I can't remember now. I don't even know.
No, you didn't.
We didn't.
No.
Yeah, because you interrupted me.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a conservative 2-1
to Wrexham.
Yeah, obviously. When I say the higher thing, I'm always gonna be back in Wrexham. Okay. Obviously.
All right. I'm gonna go. I just got a feeling that the defence is going to be really shored up. I don't think we're going to see Tom O'Connor in defence. I think we're going to see Hayden in.
Hopefully.
I think we're going to see potentially Will Boyle coming in, depending on his fitness. I'm not sure where he's at. And I just think we're going to see a clean sheet. But I would more than happily take a 1-0 win. I would happily take that. So that is what I will go for. I will go for 1-0, I think.
Brilliant.
Yeah?
Yeah, let's hope one of us is right.
Yeah, I mean, our last predictions, none of us...
Not even close.
No, none of us were for 5 today.
Didn't you say 3? Or did you say 2?
I blanked it from a memory.
Yeah, let's forget about it. It's over, it's done. Like I said, you move and you learn.
You move and you learn.
You move and you learn.
So, just a quiz to finish off. I do apologise if this week has been a little bit all over the place. Our timings have been atrocious. We talked about some stuff for way too long, which meant we couldn't talk for very long about other stuff that we wanted to talk about. We are all over the place, and we can only apologise. But I hope you still had fun. I'm sure you had fun listening to this absolute drivel, which some of the best podcasts we've ever done have been when we've been
I don't think it was drivel.
Yeah,
speak for yourself, lad.
Fine. It's all right. Quiz. Anyway, shut up. Quiz. Right, we've moved away a little bit from, not a little bit, we've moved away from 2 truths, 1 lie.
Yeah.
Just for a little bit, because I'll be honest, they're very time consuming to do.
I mean, he's had a week on holiday to think of it.
I know, I've had a week.
Sitting by the pool, he could have been thinking of some quizzes, but no.
So,
he's been going to the bar.
We've gone for straight questions this week.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Number 1.
Yeah.
How many of the starting 11 on Saturday also started the opening game of last season?
3.
It is 3.
Is it?
Yeah, Tozer, Jones and O'Connor. I reckon you've seen that one.
I haven't.
Number 2. We play Wigan on Tuesday.
We do.
We last played them in February 2002. What was the score? Just in case you're not sure, I have mentioned it in the podcast today.
4-0.
It wasn't 4-0, it was 2-0.
Oh, I was going to say 2-0, but
Where,
yeah.
You didn't know, did you? Number 3.
Yep.
With the signing of James McLean,
Mm-hmm.
how many players do we have in the squad who have played for the Republic of Ireland at any level? So as in the first team, the under-21s and...
Okay, do you mean how many or who? Do you want names?
I mean how many.
How many?
I'll tell you who they are.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Is this including James McLean?
Yes.
3. 3.
3?
Yeah.
Okay. It's 5. Anthony Ford, Owen O'Connell, Tom O'Connor, James McLean, and Liam McAlinden.
It's because when I was counting, you put me off, so I think that's an unfair.
You were 2 off, so I haven't put you off that much. Okay, next question. We lost 5-3 to MK Dons on Saturday, in case you didn't know. But who were the opponents the last time we scored 5 in a game on the 1st of April?
Barnet.
No, that is not correct. No. You happy? Do you want a clue? I'll do you a clue. The Northwest team.
Oh my God, geography? Are you kidding me? Northwest. I don't know, I can't remember. Grimsby.
That's not Northwest.
I know it's not.
No, it's not down south, is it?
Grimsby.
Oh my God, I'll get a map out for you in a minute. It is Oldham. That's the last time we scored 5. Last question. Owen O'Connell scored an own goal on Saturday, but who was the last player to score an own goal for Wrexham?
Callum McFadzean.
That is incorrect. I'll give you a clue. It was in the 4-3 win away to Aldershot on the 18th of February.
Jordan Tunnicliffe.
Correct. Jordan Tunnicliffe. I'll let you have that one, even though I had to give you a clue. So you got 2. 2 out of 5.
I mean, for the first, that sort of quiz,
yeah.
It's not the first quiz, is it? Because we've been doing them all season, but yeah, and considering I'm absolutely shattered, my brain is just mangled.
Yes. So if there is any, what I'm worried about is we're so tired and so all over the place that there's been some massive news this week that we just haven't discussed.
Has there?
I don't know.
Floodlight's gone in?
No, not the floodlight. Nothing, I don't think. I think we've covered the main points.
Yeah, I think James McLean's the big news, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, and conceding
him.
5 goals at home and
done
that. But yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for listening this week.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for your patience, yes. And we'll see you all then. We'll see you all again next week.
Bye.
Bye.